There's a moment that hits you like a lightning strike. You see their name pop up on your phone after days, weeks, maybe even months of silence. Your heart skips a beat, your mind races. Why now? What changed? Should you respond? Should you ignore it? You remember the pain, the unanswered questions, the nights you spent replaying every moment, wondering what you did wrong. And now, suddenly, they're back. But here's the question. Are you the same person they left behind? Or have you learned? Most people make the same mistakes when someone who left them comes back. They get too excited. They act out of fear. They seek closure, validation, or they rush to rebuild what was already broken. And in doing so, they give away their power all over again. But this time, it will be different. Because today, we're going to break it all down. The mistakes that cost you last time, and the mindset shift that will make sure you never repeat them again. This isn't about playing games or being petty. This is about your self-respect, your peace, and your power. And before we dive in, welcome to Stoic Spirit, the channel where we take the timeless wisdom of Stoicism and apply it to real-life relationships, personal growth, and self-mastery. If you're new here, consider subscribing because what we discuss in these videos is not just knowledge. It's the kind of wisdom that transforms the way you think, act, and live. If you've ever been in a situation where someone left you, only to come back like nothing happened, then stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you won't just know how to handle it. You'll have the kind of clarity and control that makes sure you never lose yourself in these situations again. Let's get into it. The first mistake, reacting instead of responding. When you see their message, the emotions hit hard. Maybe it's excitement, finally they're back. Maybe it's anger, how dare they think they can just waltz back into your life? Or maybe it's confusion, what do they want? But the biggest mistake you can make, letting those emotions dictate your actions. Emotions are impulsive. If you react instantly, you're not thinking, you're just following them. But power isn't about controlling others, it's about mastering yourself. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. They came back, but that doesn't mean you have to jump into their world like nothing happened. When you respond emotionally, you show your hand. You reveal that their presence still affects you. And that's dangerous, because people test. They don't just reach out to reconnect. They reach out to see if they still have access to you. Your reaction tells them everything, whether you've moved on, whether you're still emotionally attached, whether you're still the same person they left behind. And if you give them instant, emotional validation, they know that they still hold influence over you. They know they can still pull your strings. Think about this. If someone who left you, ignored you, or hurt you in the past reaches out, what do they expect? They expect that their presence will trigger a reaction in you. They expect you to either chase them or push them away. But both of these responses give them power over your emotions. They know they can influence your feelings just by showing up. And that's why the most powerful thing you can do is break that cycle. So what's the alternative? Stoic detachment, read the message, feel the emotions, but then do nothing. At least not yet. Give yourself space. Because here's what happens when you pause. First, the emotional rush fades. What seemed urgent a moment ago now seems less critical. Second, your rational mind takes over. You start asking better questions. What does this message mean for me? Do I even want to respond? Am I reacting out of habit, or am I making a conscious choice? And third, you take back control. Instead of reacting, you respond with intention. Instead of acting from a place of neediness, validation, or revenge, you act from a place of clarity and self-respect. Because power isn't about making them chase you, it's about not needing to chase them. Imagine receiving their message, putting your phone down, and continuing your day as if nothing happened. That's real power. There's a reason the Stoics valued emotional control above all else. Because the moment you let external forces dictate your internal state, you lose the ability to lead your own life. When someone from your past reaches out, it's a test of whether you've grown, whether you've learned, and whether you truly understand your own worth. If your emotions still dictate your choices, you're still playing their game, even if you think you're not. So here's what you do next time. The moment you see their name pop up, don't act. Instead, observe. Notice your emotions, but don't act on them. Wait until you feel neutral, until you feel in control. Then and only then, decide if and how you want to respond. Because when you operate from self-mastery, you don't just regain power in this one interaction, you change the entire dynamic of your relationships. The next mistake? Overanalyzing their words. You start dissecting the message like it's some ancient prophecy. They said hey instead of hey. Does that mean they're serious? Should I read between the lines? You reread it over and over. You analyze the timing, the punctuation, the phrasing. You even call your friends. What do you think this means? Stop. Overanalyzing is an illusion of control. Think about it. You get a hey text from them after months of silence. You stare at it, reading it over and over. Does it mean they miss you? Are they testing the waters? You even ask your friends, what do you think this means? But here's the truth. If someone truly values you, their actions, not a single text will tell you everything you need to know. But the truth is, most people's actions aren't that deep. People reach out for all kinds of reasons. Boredom, guilt, curiosity, even loneliness. And often, they don't even fully understand their own motives. Epictetus said, when someone acts badly toward you, take it as a sign that they believe it is right. It is not your job to change their mind. This applies to how people treat you, but it also applies to why they come back. You don't need to decode their message. You don't need to figure out their game plan, because at the end of the day, it's irrelevant. Here's a mindset shift that will free you from this cycle forever. It doesn't matter why they came back. It only matters if their actions align with your standards. If someone returns, don't waste energy trying to interpret their message. Instead, ask yourself, what do I want? Do I even want this person in my life? If I do, what would that look like? What standards do I have for how people treat me? And if this person doesn't meet those standards, does their reason for coming back even matter? The biggest trap of overanalysis is that it keeps you emotionally invested. Every time you try to decode their intentions, you keep them in your mind. You stay attached. And attachment, whether it's positive or negative, keeps you stuck in the same emotional cycle. The real way to win is not to analyze more, it's to detach completely. Think about how much mental energy people waste trying to decode others when they should be focusing on themselves. Every minute spent obsessing over why someone reached out is a minute not spent asking, what do I want? What's best for me? The truth is, you are not a detective. You are not here to investigate their motives. You are here to decide your own standards. Imagine this. Instead of overthinking, you treat their message like any other piece of external information. You acknowledge it, but you don't give it weight. You don't create narratives around it. You simply observe. And if their actions don't match what you need, you move forward. Without hesitation, without second guessing. Here's your new rule. If you catch yourself spiraling into overanalysis, pause. Take a deep breath. Then remind yourself, their intentions are their problem. My standards are mine. If they are serious, they will show you over time. If they are not, that will become clear without you needing to solve a puzzle. Either way, you win. Because instead of living in your head, you're living in reality. By breaking free from overanalysis, you take back mental peace, emotional clarity, and decision-making power. You stop playing a game you were never supposed to play, and instead, you focus on the only thing that truly matters: yourself, your boundaries, and your own self-worth. One of the fastest ways to lose respect? Being too available. They took their time deciding when to come back. They disappeared, ignored you, or moved on without looking back. Now suddenly they decide to return. And what do most people do? They drop everything the moment that message arrives. They clear their schedule. They respond in minutes. They make it known, I'm still here, I'm still waiting. But ask yourself this, why should you be available to someone who wasn't available for you? Why should you rearrange your life for someone who once chose to walk away from it? Seneca said, it is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it. And there's no greater waste of time than giving priority to someone who treats you like an afterthought. Your time is valuable, and people respect those who value their own time. If they left you before, they need to earn their way back in. You are not a convenience. You are not an option. And the moment you make yourself too available, you send a powerful message, one that tells them you didn't have to earn your place back in my life. I gave it to you for free. And when people get something for free, they don't value it. Let's put this into perspective. Imagine two scenarios. In the first, they reach out and you respond immediately. Excited, eager, waiting for their next move. They now control the rhythm of the interaction. They dictate the pace. They know that no matter what happens, you will always respond. In the second scenario, they reach out and you don't respond right away. Not out of games or manipulation, but because you have a life to live. You are busy. You are focused on things that actually matter. When you do respond, it's not desperate, it's measured, it's on your terms. Who do you think commands more respect? People value what isn't easily given. If you're always available, they take you for granted. Let them wonder if you've moved on. Let them question whether they still have access to you. That uncertainty forces them to rethink everything. And that is where your power lies. So what do you do instead? First, stop responding immediately. Not as a game, but as a reflection of your priorities. If they took days, weeks, or months to reach out, why should you answer in minutes? Second, don't clear your schedule for them. If they want to see you, let it fit into your life, not the other way around. Third, make them prove their intentions through actions, not words. If they truly value reconnecting, they will show consistency, effort, and respect for your time. And if they don't, then their return meant nothing to begin with. This is the essence of self-respect. You do not need to make yourself scarce to be valued. You simply need to value yourself enough that you don't offer your presence freely to people who haven't earned it. The painful truth? Closure doesn't come from them. It comes from you. Most people, when faced with someone who left and then returned, want answers. They want an explanation. Why did you leave? What happened? What do you feel now? They believe that if they could just get those answers, they could finally move on. But here's the reality. Even if they give you an explanation, will it really satisfy you, or will it just lead to more questions? Closure is not something another person gives you. Think about someone who ghosted you. You wait, checking your phone, hoping they'll explain. And when they finally text back, all they say is, "Hey." No apology, no real conversation, just enough to keep you wondering. And suddenly you realize you were never waiting for them. You were waiting for permission to move on. But you don't need their permission. You can close the door yourself. The Stoics teach us, the only validation you need is the one you give yourself. That means you do not need an apology. You do not need to hear, "I was wrong, I should have treated you better." You do not need them to explain their actions, because their words do not change reality. Think about it. If they tell you, "I left because I was confused," does that change the fact that they left? If they tell you, "I miss you," does that erase the pain they caused? If they tell you, "I never meant to hurt you," does that make your suffering any less real? No. Words don't change the past, and they don't change the future. People believe that closure will bring them peace. But in most cases, seeking closure only brings more pain, more attachment, more waiting. Because what they're really seeking isn't an explanation, it's permission to let go. They believe that if the other person finally admits their mistake, finally acknowledges their worth, then they can move forward. But that means you are placing your healing in someone else's hands. And that is the ultimate loss of control. So what does real closure look like? Real closure is accepting reality without needing external validation. It's saying, "They left, that happened, and I don't need to know why to move forward." It's choosing to close the door yourself rather than waiting for them to do it for you. Imagine if, instead of waiting for answers, you simply decided, "I no longer need them to give me peace. I create my own peace." Instead of waiting for their explanation, you focus on your own self-respect, your own healing, your own growth. Because here's the truth. The moment you stop looking for closure is the moment you actually find it. Let's take it deeper. Seeking closure is really about seeking control. You want to understand because understanding feels like control. But the reality is, some things will never make sense. Some people will never give you the answers you want, and some endings will never come wrapped in a neat explanation. That's life. That's reality. And the sooner you accept it, the sooner you become truly free. There's an old saying, the best revenge is no revenge. The best closure is moving forward. Not because they finally gave you what you wanted, but because you chose to stop waiting for it. Imagine the power of that mindset shift. Imagine waking up one day and realizing you no longer care what their reasons were. You no longer care if they regret leaving. You no longer need their words to justify your worth. That is what true emotional freedom looks like. So how do you achieve this level of detachment? First, stop seeking validation. If they regret leaving, that's their problem, not your closure. Second, remind yourself that their words do not change the past. Whether they apologize or not, nothing changes what happened. Third, focus on what is within your control. Your mindset, your growth, your future. The less energy you spend trying to figure them out, the more energy you have to build the life you deserve. And here's the most powerful truth of all. You don't need closure to move on. You just need to decide to move on. Whether they apologize or not, whether they regret it or not, whether they explain or not, it does not matter. Because their opinion, their explanation, their feelings are irrelevant to your peace. The only thing that matters is this. You are done looking for answers. You are done waiting for validation. You are done needing anything from them. That is true power. That is true peace. That is what it means to be untouchable. This is the most dangerous mistake of all, forgetting your standards. When emotions get involved, people lower their boundaries. They let things slide. They allow the same behaviors they once swore they wouldn't tolerate. And they do this because they are afraid. Afraid of losing the person again. Afraid of seeming too harsh. Afraid that if they set boundaries, the other person might walk away. But here's a fundamental truth. If enforcing your boundaries pushes someone away, they were never meant to stay. A boundary is not about controlling someone else. It is not about punishment. It is about self-respect. When you establish boundaries, you are drawing a line that says, this is what I will and will not accept. This is the level of respect I expect. This is what I need in order to feel valued and secure. And if someone ignores or challenges those boundaries, they are telling you exactly who they are. They are showing you that they do not respect your needs. One of the most common mistakes people make is thinking they came back, so maybe this time it will be different. That hope makes them ignore reality. They overlook the same disrespectful behaviors. They let things slide that they once knew were unacceptable. They tell themselves, it's okay. I don't want to scare them away by being too strict. But here's the truth. The right person will respect your boundaries. The wrong person will push against them. If they left before, the only way they stay now is if they meet your standards. Actions, not words. Consistency, not convenience. That is the only thing that matters. Anyone can say, I've changed. Anyone can promise it'll be different this time. But words are cheap. What truly matters is behavior over time. When you ignore your boundaries, you are training them to disrespect you. You are showing them that they can do the bare minimum and still keep their place in your life. And once they realize that, they put in less and less effort. They stop valuing you because people do not respect what they can easily have. So what do? First, stop making exceptions. If something was unacceptable before, it is still unacceptable now. Second, watch their actions, not their words. If they claim they've changed, let them prove it over time. Third, be willing to walk away. The moment you compromise on your boundaries is the moment you lose control of the relationship dynamic. Here's your new rule. If you wouldn't accept a certain behavior from a stranger, you definitely shouldn't accept it from someone who already hurt you once. If they are serious about making things work, they will respect your boundaries. If they push against them, if they try to guilt trip you, if they call you too cold or too rigid for having standards, that's your answer. They haven't changed. They just wanted easy access to your life again. The right person will rise to meet your standards. The wrong person will leave. And that's exactly what needs to happen, because your peace is worth more than repeating old mistakes. Time apart doesn't always mean personal growth. Just because they're back doesn't mean they're different. They might have had time to reflect. They might have missed you. But missing you and deserving you are two very different things. One of the biggest illusions people fall for is believing that someone's return automatically means they have changed. It doesn't. People come back for all kinds of reasons: loneliness, regret, boredom, convenience. But true change is rare. And without proof, without time, without consistent action, assuming they've changed is a mistake that could cost you your peace, your self-respect, and your emotional stability. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. If they were dishonest before, why assume they're truthful now? If they lacked effort before, why assume they'll be consistent now? If they were emotionally unavailable before, why assume they're ready for a deep connection now? Hope is a beautiful thing, but blind hope? That's self-deception. Real change isn't in a text. It's not in a sudden message after months of silence. It's not in promises. It's not in apologies. It's in long-term consistent effort. And the only way you will know if they've changed is by watching what they do over time, not what they say in the moment. Many people make the mistake of letting emotions cloud their judgment. They assume that because the person is being nice, showing affection, or using the right words, that must mean they have changed. But change isn't about how they act when they want something. It's about how they act when things get difficult, when conflict arises, when consistency is required. Here's how you protect yourself. You don't assume. You observe. You don't rush back into the same dynamic. You take your time. You see if their behavior is truly different, if they are patient, if they are putting in real effort, if they are consistent, not for a day, not for a week, but over a long period of time. Then and only then do you reconsider. And what if they haven't changed? What if you start seeing the same old patterns? Then you walk away. Immediately. No second guessing, no bargaining, no hoping they'll fix it later. You recognize the truth before it costs you your peace again. A lot of people fear losing someone who came back. But what they should really fear is letting the wrong person back in. Because when you let someone who hasn't changed re-enter your life, you are inviting the same pain, the same disappointment, the same cycle all over again. And every time you do this, you weaken your own ability to set boundaries. Imagine this. Instead of getting excited that they returned, you take a step back, you watch, you wait. You don't give them instant access. You make them prove themselves through action. This is how you regain control. This is how you ensure you never fall into the same trap again. Here's your new rule. If someone truly changed, they won't just tell you. They will show you through consistency, patience, and real effort. If they don't, then you already have your answer. At the end of the day, whether they've changed or not is their journey, not yours. Your job is not to hope, not to assume, not to give endless chances. Your job is to protect your peace. Your job is to recognize when someone's words don't match their actions. Your job is to value yourself enough to never settle for a repeated mistake. And here's the most powerful mindset shift of all. You don't need them to change. You don't need them to prove anything. Because your life moves forward, whether they rise to meet your standards or not. And that is where your true strength lies. Romanticized thinking is dangerous. Just because someone comes back doesn't mean they were meant to be in your life. It doesn't mean the universe is giving you a sign. It doesn't mean fate is bringing you two back together. The biggest mistake people make when someone from their past returns is mistaking coincidence for destiny. They think, if they're back, it must mean something. Maybe we were always meant to be. But here's the real question. If they were truly meant for you, why did they leave in the first place? People don't always come back because they've realized your value. Sometimes they come back because they miss the comfort you provided. Because they're lonely. Because things didn't work out with someone else. Because they're testing to see if they still have control over you. But make no mistake, returning doesn't mean they've changed, and it doesn't mean they're meant to stay. One of the biggest dangers of believing in meant-to-be thinking is that it blinds you to reality. You start making excuses. You ignore red flags. You convince yourself that this time will be different, because you believe their return is some kind of cosmic sign. But let's be clear, healthy relationships don't need to rely on fate. They are built on consistency, effort, and mutual respect. If someone keeps leaving and coming back, it's not destiny. It's a cycle, a pattern, and if you don't break it, it will keep repeating. Think about how many people have romanticized toxic relationships simply because they keep getting pulled back in. They mistake emotional highs and lows for passion. They think if we keep finding our way back to each other, it must mean we're meant to be. But in reality, it just means you haven't learned the lesson yet. The truth is, the strongest relationships don't rely on separation and reunion to prove their strength. They are steady, consistent, and built on trust. The right person won't need to disappear to realize your worth. They will know it from the beginning. They won't keep testing your patience, playing with your emotions, or coming back only when it's convenient for them. They will stay because real love doesn't rely on second chances. It thrives on mutual commitment. So how do you protect yourself from this mistake? You stop romanticizing patterns that don't serve you. You stop assuming that just because someone returns, it means they are supposed to be in your life. Instead of seeing their return as fate, see it as a test of whether you've grown, a test of whether you still fall for the same words, the same empty promises, the same familiar but unhealthy dynamic. Because the truth is, if someone was truly meant for you, they wouldn't have needed to leave to figure it out. And the person who truly values you won't rely on fate to bring you together. They will choose you every day without hesitation, without disappearing, without needing a second chance. Here's the ultimate truth. Whether they stay or go, it doesn't change who you are. The next time someone who left your life comes back, don't see it as a second chance for them. See it as a test for you. Do you repeat old patterns? Do you fall for the same mistakes? Or do you rise above and make the choice that truly honors your self-worth? Because the strongest position is this: whether they stay or go, you remain in control. They do not dictate your happiness. They do not define your value. They do not determine whether your life moves forward or stays stuck in the past. And the most powerful thing you can do? Walk away, not out of bitterness, not out of anger, but out of self-respect. Walking away is not weakness. It is the ultimate display of strength. It says, I do not settle for anything less than I deserve. I do not chase people who do not value me. I do not participate in relationships that drain me more than they fulfill me. When you master the art of walking away, you stop begging, you stop hoping, you stop needing validation from anyone but yourself. And that is what makes you untouchable. Think about the times in your life when you held on too long, the times you ignored red flags, the times you made excuses for someone who didn't deserve them. And now ask yourself, did holding on ever bring you peace, or did it only bring you pain? The people who truly value you won't put you in a position where you have to question your worth. They won't make you beg for their attention. They won't leave and return as if your emotions are disposable. Because when someone genuinely wants to be in your life, their actions will make that clear. And when someone's actions show you otherwise, believe them. There is incredible freedom in letting go, in realizing that your life does not revolve around whether someone chooses you or not, in knowing that walking away isn't a loss, it's a victory. A victory over your past patterns, a victory over the part of you that used to accept less than you deserve, a victory over the fear that used to keep you stuck. When you walk away with your dignity intact, you win. When you choose yourself instead of begging for someone else's effort, you win. When you stop chasing, stop explaining, stop justifying, and simply move forward with grace, you win. And here's the most important part. This is not just about one relationship. It's about your entire life. It's about how you carry yourself in every interaction. It's about how you teach people to treat you. It's about building the kind of self-respect that cannot be shaken by someone else's decisions. So here's the real test. Can you walk away? Can you trust that what is meant for you will never require you to lower your standards? Can you believe that your future is bigger than your past? Can you let go, not with resentment, not with pain, but with certainty, knowing that you deserve more than what you're leaving behind? Because the truth is, the person who can walk away with their dignity intact is the person who always wins. And if this message resonates with you, drop a 1 in the comments and hit that subscribe button, because this is just the beginning.